there was a lot of mm, backlash for cats around that top rank situation, like the dude the dude that had fixed your situation, Gibbons, Sean Gibbons. Didn't the feds raided his house or his office or something like that, the
No,
top rank offices and stuff.
he was working with
And
him. See, that's what happened. Big Frankie told me Sean Gibbons is working with us too.
oh, ain't that a bitch? So prior to you, that's how they got the.
That's
Is
how
that
they
how they
got
got
me.
the
That's how they
wire?
got the phone. That's how they found out mine was fixed. Sean Gibbons gave me up. And now, and what's bizarre about it, isn't it beautiful? This is the only thing I like about the internet and technology, that I could
Hmm.
tell you something and you could Google it. You know, if
Right.
if you Google Sean Gibbons, he's a multimillionaire now because of me,
Wow.
because he's Manny Pacquiao's manager.
Right.
So he makes millions every fight. But you know, he fixed not only my fights, he's the guy who put me in the fix game. He fixed Mickey Rourke's fight when the actor wanted to fight. He fixed Mickey's fight. He's fixed
Mm.
Tony Danza's fights. He's fixed so many celebrities who wanted to be boxers' fights. But yeah, Sean Gibbons is as dirty as they come. But hey, I made him a millionaire. You know, he's a millionaire now because of me.
So you got after the, I guess so that him getting fired shortly after the feds searched his spot and all that was
He still works for Top
just
Rank.
drama, just
Yeah,
drama.
it's just a big
It was
old
just
farce.
drama.
Because
Yeah,
his wife
yeah.
had got busted with ecstasy at the Hard Rock Cafe, and Big Frankie made it go away. He was selling It's a long story, but the bottom line is, yeah.
Wow. So there was a point, like, so you're out and about, you moving around, this is what you're doing. You running with this this fight fixing uh clan or movement or whatever. And that's what you're doing during this period while the prosecutor is trying to get you back in jail. All right.
I
And
knew the whole time. I knew the whole
mhm,
time.
you knew the whole time.
That's how come I was
Um
using the FBI for that money, so I could travel the world and do what I did. Because I knew that they
'cause-
had no intention of helping me.
so at the point at which you knew that you were running out of time, there's a person that backer that says he remembers having a conversation with you, and you tell him that you're out somewhere, I guess outside of Vegas somewhere, and you say to him, he quotes you as saying, "I came out here to kill myself. I'm not. If I'm going back to jail, I'd rather be dead." Did that happen?
Well, I don't remember having that conversation.
With that, he's quoted. He's on records in I guess the news or whatever, having said that he remembers having this conversation with you and you saying that. It doesn't sound to me like you were in such a condition where you didn't know you were going and you weren't taking advantage of the time that you knew you had left.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I knew I was
Sounds to me
going
like you
back
was
from
you
day
was
one.
living it up while you could.
Yeah, on their
You know what I
dollar.
mean? Right. So, okay. So ultimately, this prosecutor, Pamela Froreich,
Oh yeah.
she said, and this is something, and I know that your parents passed, and my sincerest condolences for that. I lost my parents as well. My father was hit when I was 14, and my mom passed away when I was 24, and it's because the life wore her down. You know what I mean? And so I feel that deeply. There was something that I came across in my research of you that was very interesting to me for them to have gone on record and having said. It said they're quoted as saying, according to court records, describing you, is a very skillful fabricator who can weave fantasy and fiction together in a most convincing fashion, end quote. And then in addition to that, they have the district attorney, the deputy district attorney, who had a real hard on for you, this Pamela Froreich, and she says, quote, "He's charming," but then she added, "He is a chronic and compulsive and quite clever liar. You cannot believe the day of the week if he tells you it is. End quote. And this is apparently the position that she took in justifying coming after you as deliberately and as relentlessly as she did. What was it that she was able to do, or ultimately convince the appellate court of, that caused them to reverse your appeal?
I think you missed something that is outstanding, and I thought better that you wouldn't miss it. I was waiting for you to say it. But they received those quotes from my parents. You forgot that part. And I called the district attorney, Miss Froelich. I said, if my parents said that I'm a killer and I'm a liar, well, can you send me their number, because I buried them in 86.
Right.
And she hung up on me.
Right.
The quotes that you're saying right there,
Mm-hmm.
those came from my parents. But my
Mm-hmm.
parents had been dead since 1986.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the LA Times said they interviewed my mother and father. I'm like, wow, how did you interview them? I buried them in 1986.
Right. And those interviews they did were in the 2000s.
How?
Mm-hmm.
That's why I
wasn't for me. That wasn't for me to say, bro.
Okay, I'm sorry. I see what you were doing. Yeah, those came from my parents, and my parents would never say that about me.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is when you tell somebody the truth, and that's why I love the internet. You have to understand, for 40 years, I didn't know anything about the internet. I don't know anything about WW. All I know is that when I could tell you to YouTube Joey Torres, when I could tell you this is who I am, all I could give you is who I am. If lie about the day of the, okay, it's Thursday. Okay. The point I'm saying is my life has been so remarkable that I find myself astonished by it. I really do.
I get it.
I'm the best. I've always been the best. I've always dealt people the way that I want to be treated. That's the key to life. My mother taught me that as a child. Treat people the way you want to be treated. And I've lived by that motto. But you killed and you're a thug. And, well, you know what? That's who I was. This is who I am. That's what society expected from a child. When you send a kid in his teens to do 40 years in a prison cell, it's a blessing that he's even here today.
That's right.
So I don't care what the trolls on the internet say. I don't care what anybody says. I'm doing this today with you because I want to make a difference. Yes, my life. That was my life. And she had a heart out for me. The judge said, he's in San Jose, Costa Rica, not San Jose, California. And the judge giggled and said, he has no restrictions. He's made every court appearance. I was free, traveling the world, betting on fixed fights, living a lavish life that any man should live. That's who I was.
Right. I wanted to bring this to the forefront in this conversation because, again, the people who are making the kinds of choices that could lead them to the conditions that you dealt with are not aware of. I've had so many of my friends, as a point to what I'm saying, so many of my friends throughout the years who made big names for themselves on the street and, were known for their criminality and so forth. And they didn't follow any laws. They didn't, abide by any rules that society had set in terms of, what's appropriate, behavior and so forth. But for some reason, they thought that as these supreme criminals, that they would be dealing with these opposition, the law enforcement, the agents and all that, and the judges and the district attorneys, and that these people were bound by some type of a rule that was going to make them always do the right, correct, and legal thing. This is a really big misconception that some very intelligent, otherwise intelligent people have about how the human beings who have these jobs operate and what they will or will not do to win. But you understand that the guy on the street will blow your brains out, kidnap your kids and all that, whatever, to win. But you think that these people who are on the opposite side of what it is you do won't do whatever they need to do, law breaking and all that. Like it doesn't make sense. So I wanted, there was so much of that. Right. And so much of this stuff that, I've been doing journalism for 23 years. So much of the stuff that they did that I've read in these articles doesn't make any sense, bro. It does not line up with any reality.
I did three
that
life,
one particular thing we just brought up.
I did 3 life sentences. Think of that. I did
Right.
3 life sentences.
Right.
What do you mean? I did 3 life sentences. I was out. They wanted me back in. They made it a point to get me back in only for one reason. When you get more convictions, you're getting a private law firm somewhere is going to hire you. So whether you're right or wrong, just convict the motherfucker, have him plead guilty, do something, because that goes on my record as a plus.
Right.
So it's all about money. All you got to do is follow the trail of money, as in life. It's so sad because you have kids that go to prison nowadays that shouldn't be in prison. You say, well, how is that so? Because you have hungry racist, and I say racist because I have to say that. Every brown child, every black child, I tell you, 40 years in the penitentiary, I've never seen a millionaire in prison. I never saw a rich white person in prison in 40 years, or a rich brown person or black. The only dude I was in the penitentiary with that had money was Hollywood Henderson. That's the only dude I ever met that had money. Why is that so? Because they make it a fact, a point, to put their boot down on anything that's other than white. And I'll say that to the day I die. Because I saw it. I saw it when I fought, when I did my coram novus, my vovices. It took an Italian Judge Falcone to release me. You know what I mean? It took a black lady, Gladys, who was the clerk, that told my wife every time I fought, oh, don't worry, tell that child we're doing all we can. It was real people. But you have a racist system. It's been racist since the beginning.
That's right.
And anybody that says it's not, well, then I'm telling you, I was in prison. San Quentin, Folsom, Soledad, Corcoran, G, Nevada, New Mexico. How come I never saw a rich guy in prison? Riddle me that. Because if you got money, you don't go to jail.
This is true, sir.
So when they came at me, I knew I was destined for, I knew it. When that woman came after me and I'm sitting here getting 10, 20, I'm living large. I knew. And then Frankie said, they're sending you back to prison. And in 2004, they overturned my release, sent me back to prison in the hole. And from 2004 till 2017, I was in the depths of hell. Again. And the warden was told, the federal government said to put you under the prison. Forget about you. The warden told me that. And I was like, oh, hell no. And they gave me a new prison number. They took my B number and gave me a C number. And it took me 10 years for the attorney general and 2 administrations to change, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and for an attorney general to say, oh, yeah, give him back his original number, bring him to the parole board. Then I filed the writ, and I demanded that they show cause why I shouldn't be released. I was in there with my good friend, Mr. Stevens, Rick Stevens, the founder of Tower of Power. You're still a young man. That was my boy, and he got out right before me. And I filed again. And the United States, right here, the Supreme Court ordered the California Department of Corrections to show cause why this man should not be released. And I was released. So I've been through it, But damn, man, we're here today, baby. I mean, we can't keep looking back. We got to look forward, man.
That's right.